Hats off to Michigan. Good football team, beautiful place up there. Got a lot of good things going. Beautiful indoor. Wish we had to save our legs right now from the heat and save our legs for Saturday. But the way the game started out, I think we just defensively couldn't start out a better way. Had the ball -1 back there, had them backed up, and just the way our kids went out and competed to start the first 3 plays of the game and playing the edge. Thought we had a safety there. Elijah Morris comes off a block. Deontay Johnson comes off a block, and sent Tegan on the blitz there. Almost have an opportunity to hit him for a loss and hit him in the backfield for safety, which would have been an even bigger start in the big house. But I don't think our kids were, they gave some confidence coming off the sideline there, and they weren't going to back down from those guys. And they're a bunch of good players and good old line up there. And then second series of the game, I think we had a third down, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Get Jordan Huff in the game, who I think is going to be a really special player for us this year, and give us an opportunity to do some different things defensively. And thought he had some really good coverage on I think Brumman Wilson, number 1 out in the China ball, corner ball, 7 cut. And J.J. McCarthy put a nice ball in there. They completed it and weren't able to punch it out. And then they drive on down that series, get him in the red zone, the 3rd down. And then he scrambles again, gets across. If you get off the field right there, if the call goes the other way for us, I think you hold them to 3. I think you feel good about 3 points in the first quarter. And then in the second drive as well, I think we had an opportunity to get off the field on 3rd down. And they hit a flat route over there in the boundary on Siobhan. But, I told our guys, that's a good football team. And they got, preseason, they got 3 Heisman candidates between the 2 tailbacks and the quarterback. And if you don't play your best, you don't play, fundamental perfect football, they're going to find you. And you see that on tape. I think there's only one football team that held them less than 4 touchdowns last year. I think the least amount of rushing yards they held last year was somebody held them to 165, 160. So I think it's been quite a while, a couple seasons since they've been held to 120 something, whatever it was. So we did some good things, but there's certainly things that we can take from that game and build on and move forward and make sure we correct. And said sometimes when you go play, maybe an average football team or whoever, some of those mistakes don't show up, or they don't show up in practice against your scout team. But when you make them against a good football team like that, they're going to make you pay. And that's what good football teams do, and that's where we got to get to and we got to strive for. So, we had 5 guys that were taking snaps, the most snaps they've ever took in a Pirate uniform. Our 2 corners, IBM, Tymere Brown, Siobhan Revel, Taylor Jackson, that's the most he's played defensively. Mike Edwards, that's the most he's played defensively. B.J. Davis is new out there. Ra Dilworth, even Kingston McKinstry and Jordan Huff have been here. That's the most they've played. And I thought all those guys showed promise that they're going to do good things for us this season, and we can count on them, and they're going to be good players down the stretch for us. So, got to keep building on that and build on momentum and make sure we correct the mistakes we made last Saturday, get them fixed this Saturday, and get them prepared for Marshall.
Coach, y'all kind of did your job, stop the run, which I know was the emphasis going in, and it seemed like y'all had good coverage, like you said, on multiple occasions. Is part of it you just have to tip your cap to McCarthy in a situation like that at times?
Yeah, I think so. Going in, they want to be a run-first football team. And I know they hurt us through the air a little bit, and I think we're a lot better in the secondary than we were a year ago. So I don't think that's a concern to me right now. We got to make sure we're good back, cleaned up back there. But I think we're a lot better than we were a year ago. And our main focus was, if you don't stop the run against those guys, you're never going to see the ball in the air. So for them to respect us enough to put the ball in the air, I think something says something about how we're playing it. And a few of them were bang plays. I mean, the yards after catch, the yak yards was very minimal. I think I counted like 70 yards, yak yards, which just tells me it was bang. He's making a catch. I think we got him backed up there. PN10 first play of the series. McCarthy, they throw a dagger right across the middle on IBM Isaiah. And, he's bang play. I think you're playing anybody else in the country. That throw may not be humming in there, and he may have a chance to break it up. And their receivers made some contested catches. So hats off to those guys. But we got to keep working it. The Tyson drill, we're calling it with the DBs and punching the ball out and, doing a better job getting hands in the face of the quarterback and getting pressure on the quarterback too. We get back there a few times and he does a good job evading it, just getting rid of it, dropping it off to the running back one time. And, we got to make sure we get home with our pressures. And those backs, I mean, they probably block as good as I've seen in my career. They step up and they get you. They're known for running the football, but those 2 running backs now, they step up and they'll take you on. And I thought Kingston McKinstry had a nice blitz one time and pops it outside and gets outside of JD, but they did a pretty good job. And we got to be better, and obviously we will get better. Those competition like that, it only forces you to get better.
Talked to a Marshall guy, said that when they got down to Albany, they went into warp speed, and that really got their offense turned up and kind of wore down Albany. Is that something you kind of focus on this week, that quick, fast pace?
Yeah, certainly a different tempo this week than it was last week. Last week it was for the most part huddled. I think one time Michigan might have went a hurry tempo on third and short that kind of caught us off guard a little bit. But these guys we keep comparing to our offense and what we have been in the past as far as just some tempo, especially after a made first down or after a big play, or maybe short yard, second and short, third and short. They're going to be some tempo stuff there. So we prepared for that and got our kids ready. And whether it's a tempo drill against our offense or just try to get our scouts to run 2 or 3 snaps in a row as fast as they can go, or second scout team, flying them up there to run a play. So you got to be heads up for that. And we tell our guys, like, the best way to stop tempo is stop them for a negative play. Don't let them gain yards. And if you do that, you do your job defensively, then there is no tempo. Now you give up a play and they get a first down, you're going to see tempo. So we continuously talk about that, and and when they sub, we're going to try to slow it down a little bit, just things you usually do to handle some tempo and help yourself out as well.
Seemed like BJ Davis played well and kind of did what y'all brought him in to do.
Yeah.
Defended the pass well. Is that kind of good to see a guy you brought in on that perform well?
Certainly, I think that's not necessarily, like, he played well, and that's not necessarily his strong point. It is a downhill football, run football team like Michigan, but I thought he held his own in there. I mean, I think, over the next 10 ball games, 9 ball games, whatever it is, before we play Navy, that's getting out in space and covering ground and dropping back into coverage. I think he's got something like 12 picks in his career. That's more of his game, and just using that long body and his attributes in the pass coverage and pressuring too. So I'm really excited about him. And, all of those guys, Ra-Ra's the same. Jordan Huff's the same. Just the fact they can cover some space and cover some ground over there. So, Siobhan's very similar. I mean, Siobhan, he probably feels a lot more comfortable in extended number 1 playing man on him than he does fitting the run box. But he fit it well. I mean, he stuck it up in there. I think second play of the game, he's in on the tackle in the B gap. So he'll certainly throw it around.
It's not basketball where you can do like a boxing one or double team, but when they got a guy like Ali, does he require extra attention from your defense?
Yeah, and if you see him having to go up the sideline, make sure you stick your foot out and tripping for us and stuff like that. But we all, our kids, coaches, our players, our coaches, we know who Ali is firsthand from 2 years ago and the season he had 2 years ago. And we got a heavy dose of him 2 years ago, and he hurt us, and we got to make sure we don't let that happen again. And he's a good football player. He single-handedly, in my opinion, won the game for him last week. I think number 10 caught a little bubble screen in the red zone, broke the tackle, got the first touchdown, but Ali, looks like he scores the next 2 and made some big plays. I think the first play of the game, he actually took it to the house, I think 70 yards or something like that, and they had a penalty, or otherwise they go up 7-0, probably look back. So you got to make sure you keep him in check. The quarterback, 14, certainly a good player. He's lefty. He's a very much of a, I call him a Holt Nailers. He's an operator. He's going to RPO game you. He's a point guard, John Stockton. I'm just, trying to teach my guys a little bit about the history of NBA. They didn't know who John Stockton was, so I was impressed. But, he's more of a point guard, going to deal the ball around. And that's kind of his game. RPO, zone read, latches, those type of things in there, and do it around. I think he was 28 of 35 last week. I think out of those 28 passes, only 4 of them were, past 10 yards. So most of them are at the line of scrimmage or less than 10 yards. It just tells you their RPO game, bubbles, screen game, so that type of stuff. So, which allows us, we got to figure out ways to take that away. And that's a part of the run game for us, the RPO game is. So we got to make sure that we're taking both those away.
I thought naked eye, the tackling was really good for your guys. It's one-on-one tackles, things like that. What did you see when you
did that? I think game 1, you always worry about that. Game 1, you always walk in like, hey, we had 20 missed tackles or something like that. I think we had less than, 10. And part of that, I think, is the fact that everything was in, old school football in a small space and small box there. But I was really impressed with how our guys tackled, for the type of players and type of level of running backs those guys are. I thought we did a good job tackling. This week I told the guys, we got to keep getting our feet to contact, make sure we don't lunge, we get all the way there, make sure we keep the cup and keep leverage on the ball, because this week you're going to find yourself in more space than you did last week. So that was my biggest emphasis to our defense this week. So, but I thought overall we did a good job. You know, if that'll show up every week, I think we can win some games with that.
I think y'all used 23 or 24 guys defensively. Is that around the number you kind of ideally wanted at, or you want to get more guys in?
Yeah, that's about. I mean, I don't think we played anybody that we're not planning on playing each and every week. I think those guys have earned the right to play, and they continue to do that. And we'll continue to try to find the best combination and get the best 11 on the field, and we continue to have discussions about that, who that may be. And we got several guys that have shown up that they need a few more snaps, and they're earning those snaps, and not just looking at them going to give it to them, but they're earning it. So, I'm surprised it was 23. I thought it was more like 19, but I can see that being correct. I think Sam Dank is a kid that I don't know how many snaps he got, but he's a guy that you can see as the season goes on getting more and more snaps.
Coach, you mentioned the difference between the old school football and now more of the spread offense you're going to see. Is there an emphasis for your corners to kind of play a little wider than they were last week, just to kind of not get beat to the sideline?
Yeah, you mean grass on, basketball on grass or whatever you used to call it? Yeah, I guess that's the new school football. And in Michigan, you don't see that much anymore, so it's kind of gone by. I think we'll see that probably Charlotte week, and obviously Navy week's a little bit different. But outside of those, everybody else was going to spread us out. But yeah, I think there's different ways to leverage the ball. Whether it's you cover two and you're playing outside leverage with your corners. Ways to bracket those guys and keep everything inside. I think the 2-minute drill is probably one of the ways you're referring to there. Just got beat to the sideline a few times, and really for us it was, hey, don't make sure we don't give up a cheap one down the field here, because they certainly have the capability to do that. And really though, I think one of the flat balls we should just buzz the flat a little faster with the sand. We got out there a little quicker, but I thought the corners did a good job. We didn't give up the big ball. I think the biggest play we gave up was the run. It was the 37-yard run, and we didn't replace fast enough on the crack. Explosives overall. I think we gave up that run. We had another run in the on a cover 3 that I got us in a pass call, and it was 2nd and 9. Thought they were going to throw the ball. Got us in a little cover 3 pass call. They slid off a run in there from 12, 15 yards. But most of their throws were 10, 15 yards down the field, so we didn't give up the big play, and that's what we want to do, make sure we keep it in front of us, make them earn it. Now, you're playing a good football team, so they can, but that's kind of where we're at. So, and that'll be our philosophy all year. Marshall was saying, hey, we're going to be aggressive and choose our points and times, and we don't want to give up the home run big ball either.